How to live happily with your partner. Life-changing truths. Stoic wisdom. Most relationships don't fail because of lack of love. They fail because of lack of control. Control over emotions. Control over expectations. Control over ego. You see, happiness in a relationship is not found in your partner. It is found within you. The ancient Stoics understood something most people today ignore. You cannot control how your partner behaves. You cannot control what they feel. You cannot control what they do. But you can control yourself. And that changes everything. If you master this, you will no longer suffer in love. You will experience peace, even in chaos. Stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you will never see your relationship the same way again. You cannot control your partner. Yet most people spend their entire relationship trying to do exactly that. They try to control how their partner talks, how they behave, how they respond, how they love. And when it doesn't work, they suffer. This is where Stoic wisdom begins. The Stoics teach: focus only on what is within your control. And in your relationship, only 3 things are truly yours: your thoughts, your actions, your reactions. Not your partner. Never your partner. When your partner does something you don't like, you have 2 choices. React emotionally. Respond wisely. Most people react. They shout. They argue. They try to win. But Stoics don't aim to win arguments. They aim to keep their peace. Because they understand, when your partner does something you don't like, you have 2 choices. React emotionally. Respond wisely. Most people react. They shout. They argue. They try to win. But Stoics don't aim to win arguments. They aim to keep their peace. Because they understand. Imagine your partner ignores your message. Your mind starts creating stories. They don't care. They're disrespecting me. They must be talking to someone else. Now you're angry. But what actually happened? Nothing. Only your interpretation changed your emotional state. Instead of reacting, a Stoic asks, is this within my control? If the answer is no, they let it go. Not because they are weak, but because they are powerful enough not to be controlled by emotions. You don't find peace when your partner behaves perfectly. You find peace when you stop needing them to. Next time your partner does something that triggers you, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, am I reacting or responding? This single habit can save your relationship. Trying to control your partner creates tension. Controlling yourself creates harmony. Them to do expectations are silent agreements your partner never signed. And yet, you punish them for breaking those agreements. One of the greatest sources of pain in relationships is this: expecting your partner to behave the way you want. You expect them to understand you without explaining. Them to act the way you would act. Them to love the way you love. And when they don't, you feel disappointed. But here is the Stoic truth. Backhand index pointy right: your expectations are the problem, not your partner. The Stoics practice something powerful. Backhand index pointing right: they accepted people as they are, not as they wish them to be. This doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It means you stop trying to force people into your mental picture. You don't love your partner if you are constantly trying to change them. Imagine this. You expect your partner to text you every morning. At first they do. Then one day they stop. Now your mind reacts. They've changed. They don't care anymore. I'm not important. But the truth is, they never signed a contract to text you every morning. That expectation came from you. Instead of reacting emotionally, a Stoic asks, backhand index pointing right, did I create this expectation? If yes, then you release it. Not because you don't care, but because you refuse to suffer over something you imagined. Here's a powerful Stoic exercise. Tonight, sit quietly and ask yourself, What expectations am I placing on my partner? Write them down. Be honest. Then ask, are these fair, or are they just my preferences? You'll start to see something clearly. Most of your frustration comes from unspoken expectations. Expectation says, you must behave this way for me to be happy. Acceptance says, I choose peace, regardless of how you behave. When you expect less, you appreciate more. Small things become meaningful again. A random message feels special. A kind gesture feels genuine. Time together feels valuable. Because it is no longer required. It is freely given. Expectation kills gratitude. Acceptance creates peace. The Stoics practiced emotional independence. Not coldness, but strength. They loved deeply, but they were not dependent. That means, backhand index pointing right, you enjoy your partner, but your happiness does not depend on them. Acceptance does not mean accepting disrespect, accepting abuse, accepting toxic behavior. Stoicism is not weakness. If your partner consistently disrespects you, the Stoic response is not to tolerate it. It is to walk away with dignity, accept what you cannot control, but never accept what destroys your peace. Instead of saying, they should act this way, say, this is who they are, now what will I do? This gives you power back. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about your partner. Now remove every expectation you have placed on them. No pressure. No demands. Just them, as they are. Now ask yourself, can I accept this person fully, or not? Because that answer will determine your peace. Your relationship is not destroyed by problems. It is destroyed by reactions. Not what your partner says. Not what they do. But how you respond. One moment of anger, one uncontrolled reaction, can create damage that takes years to repair. And sometimes, it never gets repaired at all. Stoic wisdom teaches something simple, but life-changing. Backhand index pointing right, you are not responsible for what happens to you, but you are responsible for how you react. In relationships, this is everything. Because emotions are contagious. If you lose control, you spread chaos. If you stay calm, you create stability. Most people believe, I feel angry because of what my partner did. But that is not true. You feel angry because of how you interpreted what they did. Two people can face the same situation and react completely differently. Why? Because emotion does not come from the event. It comes from the meaning you attach to it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They practiced separating. Backhand index pointing right the event. Backhand index pointing right their interpretation of the event. This creates space. And in that space, you gain control. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of your emotions. Your partner raises their voice at you. Instant reaction. You feel attacked. You raise your voice too. The argument escalates. Now both of you are no longer communicating. You are fighting. But a Stoic sees it differently. They pause and think, is this worth losing my peace? Instead of reacting immediately, they create a gap. A pause. Even 3 seconds is enough. In that pause, they choose. Backhand index pointing right, calm over chaos. Backhand index pointing right, understanding over ego. Backhand index pointing right, peace over victory. The next time you feel triggered, stop. Take a deep breath. Do not speak immediately. Let the emotion rise and pass. Because emotions are like waves. If you don't react, they fade. Most arguments are not about the problem. They are about uncontrolled emotions. Anger feels powerful, but it is actually a form of weakness. Because it means something external has taken control over your internal state. A Stoic refuses this. They decide, no one controls how I feel, except me. The person who controls their emotions controls the relationship. Your partner says something hurtful. Your ego wants to respond immediately. To defend yourself. To prove a point. To win. But Stoic wisdom asks, backhand index pointing right, what outcome do you want? Do you want peace? Or do you want to win an argument? Because you rarely get both. Suppressing emotions is not stoicism. Ignoring how you feel is not strength. True Stoic control means backhand index pointing right, you feel everything. But you are not controlled by it. Instead of reacting emotionally, say, I feel hurt by what you said. Calm. Direct. Honest. No shouting. No attacking. This keeps your dignity. And your peace. Train yourself daily. When something small irritates you, practice not reacting. Someone delays replying. Someone says something slightly annoying. Something doesn't go your way. Use these moments as training. Because if you can control small emotions, you can control big ones. When you master your emotions, you don't get easily offended. You don't react impulsively. You don't lose control. And suddenly, your relationship becomes calmer. Not because your partner changed, but because you did. Calmness is not weakness. It is power under control. Instead of asking, why did they do this to me? Ask, how do I want to respond to this? This single question changes everything. Think about your last argument. Now imagine, if you had stayed calm, if you had paused, listened, and responded with control, would the outcome be different? Most likely, yes. You don't build a happy relationship by controlling your partner. You build it by controlling yourself. Not every problem in your relationship needs a reaction. And not every situation deserves your words. Some of the strongest people are the ones who choose silence. Because they understand something most people don't. Arguing does not create understanding. It often destroys it. Most relationships don't suffer from lack of communication. They suffer from too much emotional, uncontrolled communication. Talking while angry. Responding while hurt. Arguing to prove a point. This is not communication. This is emotional release. And it often leads to damage. When emotions rise, logic disappears. In that moment, you don't listen. You don't understand. You only react, and when both partners are reacting, the situation becomes a battle, not a conversation. Stoic wisdom teaches, if you cannot speak calmly, do not speak at all. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Not every argument is worth your peace. Your partner says something that triggers you. Your heart starts racing. Your mind is ready to respond. You want to defend yourself immediately. But a Stoic does something different. They pause. And they choose silence. Not forever. But in that moment, instead of reacting instantly, they think, will my words solve this, or make it worse? If the answer is, make it worse, they stay silent. When you feel the urge to argue, stop. Count slowly to 10. Breathe deeply. Say nothing. This simple habit prevents damage you cannot take back. Most words spoken in anger are words we later regret. But once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Silence gives you something powerful. Time to think. Time to calm down. Time to respond wisely. Without silence, you become a slave to your emotions. Silence protects relationships. Ego destroys them. You're in an argument. Both of you are raising your voices. No one is listening. Now imagine this. You suddenly go quiet. You stop reacting. You breathe. You listen. The energy changes immediately. Because conflict needs two people. When one becomes calm, the fire begins to die. Silence does not mean ignoring your partner, avoiding problems, suppressing feelings. Stoic silence is temporary. It is used to regain control, not to escape responsibility. First, be silent to calm your emotions. Then, speak with clarity and control. This is the difference between reaction and response. When you finally speak, say things like, "Let's talk about this calmly. I don't want us to argue. I want us to understand each other. I need a moment to think before I respond." This shows strength, not weakness. Practice silence in daily life. When someone annoys you, when you feel misunderstood, when emotions rise, don't react immediately. Train your mind to pause. Because silence is a skill. When you master silence, you avoid unnecessary conflict. You reduce emotional damage. You gain respect. People begin to see you as calm, grounded, in control. The loudest person in an argument is often the weakest. The calmest person is the strongest. Think about your past arguments. How many of them started because of emotion, escalated because of words, ended with regret? Now imagine if you had chosen silence first. How different would things be? You don't always need to speak to be understood. Sometimes, you just need to stay calm long enough to respond wisely. Most people believe love is the foundation of a relationship. But they are wrong. Because love without respect does not last. You can love someone deeply and still treat them poorly. You can love someone and still hurt them. But when respect is lost, everything begins to fall apart. Stoic wisdom teaches respect is more important than love. Because love is emotional. It comes and goes. But respect is a choice. A daily decision in how you treat someone. Love can make you feel connected. But respect determines how you behave. Without respect, you speak carelessly. You ignore boundaries. You take your partner for granted. And slowly, the relationship weakens. Instead of asking, "Do I love my partner?" ask, "Do I respect my partner?" Because real happiness in a relationship comes from mutual respect, understanding, self-control, not just feelings. Love makes a relationship start. Respect makes it last. At the beginning of a relationship, everything feels perfect. You're kind, patient, attentive. Why? Because you're careful. You don't want to lose them. But over time, comfort replaces effort, and respect slowly fades. You interrupt them. You dismiss their feelings. You speak without thinking. And you don't even notice it. A Stoic remains disciplined. They understand. Familiarity should not reduce respect. Even after years, they choose to speak calmly, listen fully, act with intention. Because respect is not automatic. It is maintained. Ask yourself daily, would I speak to a stranger this way? If the answer is no, then don't speak to your partner that way either. Because often, we treat strangers better than the people we love most. Disrespect does not always come as shouting. Sometimes it comes quietly. Ignoring, dismissing, lack of attention, taking someone for granted. And these small things destroy relationships slowly. Respect creates safety. When your partner feels respected, they feel heard. They feel valued. They feel secure. And when that safety exists, love grows naturally. Where there is no respect, love cannot survive. Your partner shares something important with you, but you're distracted. You don't listen fully. You respond carelessly. In that moment, they don't feel loved. They feel unimportant. And over time, that feeling builds distance. Respect is not one-sided. You must give it, but you must also require it. Stoicism is not about tolerating disrespect. If your partner consistently disrespects you, you address it calmly, or you walk away with dignity. Respect others, but never abandon self-respect. Because the moment you lose respect for yourself, others will follow. Instead of reacting emotionally, say, "I don't feel respected when that happens. Let's talk about this in a better way. I value this relationship, and I want us to treat each other better." Calm. Direct. Firm. Think about your relationship. Ask yourself honestly, do I listen fully? Do I speak with care? Do I value my partner's feelings? Because respect is shown in actions, not words. When respect is strong, arguments reduce, understanding increases, emotional connection deepens, and the relationship becomes stable. Not perfect, but peaceful. Love without respect is unstable, but respect with love is powerful. Think about this. Would you rather be loved or respected? Because in a healthy relationship, you should never have to choose. If you want a happy relationship, don't focus only on love. Focus on how you treat each other. Because in the end, respect is what keeps everything together. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is trying to change their partner. You see their habits, their flaws, their differences, and you think, they would be perfect if only they changed this. But here's the truth. The moment you try to change someone, you begin to lose them. Stoic wisdom teaches, you cannot control who someone is. Every person has their own personality, their own habits, their own way of thinking, and trying to reshape them into your ideal creates resistance, not love. At the beginning of a relationship, you accept everything. Even their flaws seem small, sometimes even attractive. But over time, you start focusing on what you don't like. And slowly your mindset shifts from, "I accept you," to "I need to fix you." And that's where problems begin. Instead of asking, "How can I change my partner?" ask, "Can I accept them as they are?" Because real peace comes from acceptance, not control. You don't love someone if you are constantly trying to turn them into someone else. Your partner is naturally quiet, but you want them to be more expressive. You push them. Talk more. Be more open. Act differently. But that's not who they are. Now they feel pressured. And you feel frustrated. And both of you suffer. A Stoic understands. People are who they are, not who I want them to be. So instead of forcing change, they choose understanding. They adapt. They accept. Make a list of 3 things about your partner that you wish were different. Now ask yourself honestly, can I live peacefully with this, if it never changes? If the answer is no, then the issue is not them. It is your choice to stay or leave. Trying to change someone creates pressure, resentment, distance. But accepting someone creates peace, freedom, connection. Every human being wants to feel accepted, not corrected, not controlled, not fixed. When your partner feels accepted, they relax, they open up, they become more themselves. And ironically, that's when positive change happens naturally. Acceptance strengthens love. Control destroys it. Your partner has a habit you don't like. Instead of accepting it, you complain constantly. Now think about this. Are you improving the situation? Or making it worse? Because constant criticism doesn't inspire change. It creates resistance. Acceptance does not mean accepting disrespect, accepting toxic behavior, accepting actions that harm your peace. Stoicism is about wisdom, not tolerance of harmful behavior. If something crosses your boundaries, you address it calmly, or you walk away. Accept personality, but never accept disrespect. Accepting toxic behavior, accepting actions that harm your peace. Stoicism is about wisdom, not tolerance of harmful behavior. If something crosses your boundaries, you address it calmly, Or you walk away, accept personality, but never accept disrespect. Know the difference. Instead of saying, they need to change, say, this is who they are, what will I choose? Because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your decision to stay. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture your partner exactly as they are. No edits. No improvements. No changes. Now ask yourself, can I truly accept this person? Because if you can, you will find peace. If you can't, you must be honest with yourself. When you stop trying to control your partner, you feel lighter. You argue less. You appreciate more. And your relationship becomes more natural. Not forced. Love is not about changing someone. It is about understanding them. Think about this. Do you want to be with someone who accepts you fully? Or someone who constantly tries to change you? That is exactly how your partner feels. You don't find peace by controlling people. You find peace by accepting them. Most relationship pain comes from one thing: attachment to outcomes. You don't just love your partner. You become attached to how they should behave, how they should treat you, how the relationship should go. And when reality doesn't match your expectations, you suffer. Stoic wisdom teaches: attach yourself to effort, not outcome. In relationships, this means you give love without demanding it back. You act with care without controlling the result. You show up fully without needing guarantees. Attachment sounds like love, but it is often fear in disguise. Fear of losing them. Fear of being ignored. Fear of things changing. So you try to hold tighter. Control more. Expect more. But the more you hold on, the more tension you create. A Stoic loves differently. They say, I will give my best, but I will not cling. This creates emotional freedom. You are present, but not dependent. Love deeply, but don't lose yourself in the outcome. You send your partner a message. You expect a quick reply. Minutes pass, then hours. Your mind starts reacting. Why haven't they replied? Are they ignoring me? Did I do something wrong? Now your mood changes. But what actually happened? You became attached to an outcome. A Stoic thinks differently. I sent the message. That is within my control. Their response is not. So instead of overthinking, they stay calm. They move on with their day. Whenever you feel anxious in your relationship, ask, what part of this is within my control? Focus only on that. Let go of everything else. Attachment creates anxiety. Detachment creates peace. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing things to go your way to feel okay. You still love, but your happiness is not controlled by their mood, their actions, their responses. The more you need something, the more power it has over you. You want your partner to always make you feel happy. But one day, they are distant. Now you feel unloved, insecure, upset. But a Stoic understands. My emotional state should not depend on another person. So instead of reacting, they center themselves. Detachment is not coldness, ignoring your partner, acting like you don't care. That is avoidance. True Stoic detachment means you care deeply, but you remain emotionally stable. Be present in the relationship, but don't lose your identity in it. Instead of saying, I need this relationship to work, say, I will give my best and accept whatever happens. This removes pressure and creates peace. You are in a relationship, but your happiness comes from within, not from validation, attention, reassurance. Now imagine how calm you would feel. How free. That is the power of detachment. When you detach from outcomes, you stop overthinking. You stop chasing. You stop feeling desperate. And you become calm, confident, and grounded. You suffer not because you love, but because you cling. Ask yourself honestly, am I loving or am I depending? Because those two feel similar, but lead to very different outcomes. The happiest people in relationships are not the ones who control everything, but the ones who are at peace with anything. Most relationships don't fail because of lack of love. They fail because people don't know how to communicate. They speak, but they are not understood. They listen, but they are not truly hearing. And over time, misunderstanding becomes distance. Stoic wisdom teaches: speak with clarity, not emotion. Listen with understanding, not ego. Because communication is not about winning. It is about connecting. Most people communicate like this. They speak when they're angry. They interrupt. They defend instead of understanding. They react instead of listening. This creates confusion, not connection. A Stoic communicates differently. They speak less, but with intention. Listen more, without interrupting. Stay calm, even in difficult conversations, because they understand. Words spoken in emotion often create damage. Say less, but mean more. Your partner says something that upsets you. Your first instinct is to interrupt. No, that's not what I meant. You're wrong. Now the conversation turns into a debate. But a Stoic does something different. They listen fully, without preparing a response. They ask themselves, do I want to understand, or just be right? And they choose understanding. Because being right doesn't build connection. Understanding does. Next time your partner speaks, let them finish completely. Don't interrupt. Repeat what they said in your own words. Example: so what you're saying is, you felt ignored earlier? This shows respect, attention. Understanding people don't just want to be heard. They want to feel understood. Communication is not just about words. It's about tone, timing, and intention. You can say the right words in the wrong tone and still create conflict. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. You want to express frustration. Most people say, you always do this. You never listen. These words trigger defensiveness. But a Stoic speaks differently. I feel hurt when this happens. No blame. No attack. Just clarity. Avoid these communication traps. Blaming. You always. Generalizing. You never. Interrupting. Speaking in anger. These destroy understanding. Follow these simple principles. Speak calmly. Be direct, not aggressive. Focus on the issue, not the person. Listen more than you talk instead of, you don't care about me. Say, I feel neglected when this happens. Instead of, you're always wrong. Say, I see it differently, let's talk about it. This keeps the conversation productive. Practice this daily. Speak slower. Think before responding. Choose your words carefully. Because communication is a skill. And it can be trained. When you communicate like a Stoic, arguments reduce. Understanding increases. Emotional connection deepens. And your partner feels safe talking to you. Calm words create strong relationships. Think about your last serious conversation. Ask yourself, did I listen fully? Did I speak calmly? Did I try to understand? Because communication reveals the true state of a relationship. A strong relationship is not built on perfect people, but on clear, calm, and honest communication. Most arguments are not about the problem. They are about pride. It's not really about what was said. It's about who is right, who wins, who apologizes first. And in trying to protect your ego, you slowly destroyed the relationship. Stoic wisdom teaches, your ego is your biggest enemy in conflict. Because ego says, I must be right. I will not back down. They should apologize first. But wisdom says, peace is more important than being right. In every conflict, there are two battles happening. The actual issue, the battle of egos. And most of the time, the ego battle is what causes damage. Because instead of solving the problem, you try to protect your pride. A Stoic asks, what matters more, my ego or this relationship? And they choose the relationship. Not because they are weak, but because they are wise. You don't win in relationships by proving a point. You win by preserving peace. You and your partner disagree. You know you're right. You have the facts. You want to prove it. So you push harder. Speak louder. Argue more. But now, the conversation is no longer about the issue. It's about winning. And when one person wins, the relationship loses. A Stoic pauses and thinks, if I win this argument, what do I really gain? Distance? Hurt feelings? Tension? So instead, they choose calmness. They choose understanding. In the middle of an argument, ask yourself, am I trying to solve this, or win this? If the answer is win, pause immediately. Reset your approach. Ego creates distance. Humility creates connection. The strongest person in a relationship is not the one who dominates, but the one who knows when to let go. Let go of the need to be right, the need to have the last word, the need to win, because these needs destroy peace. Sometimes, the best response is not proving your point, but protecting your connection. Your partner says something wrong. You know it's wrong. Your ego says, correct them. Show them they're wrong. But a Stoic asks, is this worth creating conflict? Not everything needs correction. Not everything needs a reaction. Letting go of ego does not mean accepting disrespect, being walked over, ignoring serious issues. Stoicism is about wisdom, not submission. If something truly matters, address it calmly. Stand your ground respectfully. Drop ego in small matters. Stand firm in important ones. Know the difference. Instead of saying, you're wrong, say, I see it differently, let's figure this out together. Instead of, you always do this, say, let's talk about how we can improve this. This turns conflict into cooperation. Practice this mindset daily. You don't need the last word. You don't need to prove everything. You don't need to win every argument. Peace is more valuable when you control your ego. Conflicts become smaller. Resolutions become easier. Your relationship becomes stronger. Because ego no longer controls your actions. Ego asks, how can I win? Wisdom asks, how can we grow? Think about your last argument. Ask yourself, was I trying to understand or win? Did my ego make things worse? Because awareness is the first step to change. You don't build strong relationships by winning arguments. You build them by choosing peace over pride. If you are not at peace within yourself, you will never find peace in a relationship. You will seek it, demand it, expect it from your partner. But they cannot give you what you do not have. Stoic wisdom teaches, your happiness must come from within, not from your partner. Because when your happiness depends on someone else, you become emotionally fragile. But when it comes from within, you become unshakable. Most people enter relationships thinking, this person will make me happy. And for a while, it feels true. But over time, reality sets in. Your partner has moods. They have flaws. They have bad days. And suddenly, your happiness becomes unstable. A Stoic enters a relationship differently. They say, I am already at peace. This person adds to my life, not completes it. This changes everything. A relationship should add to your peace, not become the source of it. Imagine two people. Person A depends on their partner for happiness. Person B is already peaceful within. Now challenges come. Person A becomes anxious, needy, reactive. Person B remains calm, grounded, understanding. Same situation. Different internal state. A Stoic builds their inner world first. They develop emotional control, self-awareness, inner stability. So when problems arise, they are not shaken. To build inner peace, practice daily. 1. Silence. Spend time alone without distractions. Let your mind settle. 2. Reflection. Ask yourself, why did I react that way? What can I improve? 3. Emotional awareness. Notice your feelings, without acting on them. 4. Self-control. Choose your responses carefully. If you are unhappy alone, you will struggle in a relationship. Because relationships amplify who you already are. Your partner is not responsible for your happiness, your peace, your emotional stability. That responsibility is yours. And when you accept this, you become free. Stop looking for peace in people and start building it within yourself. Your partner is in a bad mood. If you depend on them emotionally, their mood becomes your mood. But if you are grounded, you remain calm. You support them without being affected. Inner peace does not mean being cold, being distant, not caring. It means you feel deeply, but you remain stable. Love your partner, but don't lose yourself in them. Stay connected, but stay grounded. Instead of saying, they make me happy, say, I am happy, and I choose to share it with them. This creates independence, not dependency. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Imagine a version of yourself. Calm, peaceful, unshaken by anything external. Now imagine being in a relationship. From that state, no fear, no anxiety, no neediness, just peace. That is the goal. When you build inner peace, you stop overreacting. You stop depending. You stop suffering unnecessarily. And your relationship becomes healthier, calmer, more fulfilling. A peaceful person creates a peaceful relationship. Happiness in a relationship is not about finding the perfect partner. It is about becoming the right person. When you control yourself, let go of expectations, master your emotions, choose silence over conflict, respect deeply, accept fully, detach from outcomes, communicate clearly, let go of ego, build inner peace. You don't just improve your relationship, you transform it. A strong relationship is not built by two perfect people, but by two people who choose wisdom over emotion and peace over pride. If this message changed your perspective, take a moment to reflect on it. And if you're ready to build a stronger, calmer, more meaningful relationship, start applying just one of these lessons today. Because real change begins with small actions.